Alright, YouTube, humor me here. Can you imagine a long time ago, in a faraway world, the distant past of pre-2008, that Kirby Super Star was unanimously agreed upon to be the best game in the series by just about everybody? I don't want to say too much about this since, I don't want to spoil the rest of this 10 to 15 minute video. Watch time, you know the drill. So let's dive right in, shall we? Speaking of the watch time though, and diving, before we do dive any deeper into the video, if you like what you see and you want to help me out, please consider thinking this video is the best by giving it a like, tell me what your thoughts are on Kirby Super Star in the comments, and ring the notification bell after subscribing to really help me out. You can find me on Twitch, join my Discord, or follow my Twitter if you like me that much, but regardless, I appreciate it. Now then, there are 8 Kirby games in one cartridge. Rescue Dreamland's food from King Dedede. Again, see why Dynablade is stealing crops, collect treasure in a massive cave, stop Meta Knight from taking over Dreamland, eat food faster than Dedede, and stop the Sun and Moon from fighting by summoning the Wish Granter Nova. Play your way through the most action-packed Kirby game yet, with new abilities and full-blown movesets for each. Superstar is undeniably the single biggest stepping stone for the entire franchise. Adventure may have introduced copy abilities, and Dreamland 2 may have tried shaking things up, but Superstar is what took this idea to its absolute limit. Every ability has a full-blown moveset, with different inputs giving you different results. For example, with Beam, you still have your regular attack, but you also have different attacks to use when you're dashing, or when you jump out of a dash, or when you're really close to an enemy, or when you hold the attack button down. Abilities are actually fleshed out here, and you won't know all of what an ability can do after hitting the attack button just one time. The joy of simply experimenting with different abilities and finding a favorite is a huge selling point. Remake aside, we didn't get another game quite like this in the series until the Return to Dreamland decade. The experience is still present in those games too, but a common critique of all of them is that they aren't doing much to advance the Kirby formula. You could argue if that's true or false for each, but no matter how you look at it, there's really no getting more innovative than Superstar. Full-blown movesets for every single ability is a real game changer, not only for reasons already mentioned, but also for what it did to the pacing. Kirby Superstar is a game with very little downtime. It always feels like there's something to do. What that something is depends on which mode you're playing, but things are constantly moving, the action and speed rarely taking the time to slow down. These moments do exist, but they're so rare that they don't distract much from the action. In a mode like Great Cave or Milky Way Wishes, you definitely get some moments of levity here and there, but for modes like Revenge of Meta Knight and Gourmet Race, you're always moving, always progressing through the game. Overall, Superstar has one singular focus throughout every single game mode, and that is to keep you entertained with a thrilling game. And I guess just to make you really tense, there's at least one moment in every single game mode where you just go, oh my god. The decision to split the game into 8 different games was a brilliant decision. Having one adventure could have gotten old relatively quickly, especially for a game like this where the tools you're given are so powerful and very little can stand in your way, so splitting it into different game modes was a good call. Again, the Return to Dreamland style games tried pulling this off, but they all have their own gimmicks to spice up the action. Superstar is just Kirby gameplay, so instead of letting the formula get old, you mix things up with different ideas that make each mode stand out. Spring Breeze, as a mini remake of Dreamland, doesn't have anything to specifically set it apart, but it's the mode you're supposed to play first, so we can give it a pass. From there, you have modes like Dynablade, which has a world map, Gourmet Race, which is about collecting a lot of small objects, food in this case, while racing. That can't be good for Kirby or Dedede. Great Cave involves collecting treasure as you progress. Revenge of Meta Knight tells a narrative about Dreamland being invaded while putting you on a time limit. And Milky Way Wishes drops a whole new way of interacting with enemies and copy abilities. Each of these modes has enough substance to feel satisfying to play through and finish. The arena and the minigames are also a very good time. They're just different in their structure. That said, Samurai Kirby is the slowest the pacing gets for Superstar, and in a way, that's kind of nice actually. Of course, this being the first Kirby game for the Super Nintendo, first made one anyway, we love you Dream Course, many improvements were made to the visuals and the audio. The music and sound effects are not only top-notch, but iconic. Gourmet Race, Versus Marks, Revenge of Mennonite, even Day to Day's theme, at least the full version, all started here. Several others, including Green Greens, are also here and accounted for. Visually, you have to mention the incredible sprite work and the unique CG backgrounds. These give the game an entirely unique atmosphere to it. When you see a snapshot of this game, you immediately know that's Kirby Superstar. And of course, we have to talk about the little ouch Kirby on the roulette wheel. I don't even need to explain myself there, do I? This game also took some very excellent storytelling strides. Dreamland 2 may have sprinkled the seeds, but Superstar has the best unison of storytelling and gameplay flow. Text moves fast, cutscenes say everything you need to know, characters are expressive, and of course, every game mode has its own unique plot to further make them feel like their own adventure, their own experience, their own game. Even a mode as short as Spring Breeze or Gourmet Race get this treatment. They really didn't cut any corners. Kirby Superstar is good for many reasons. Gameplay, graphics, presentation, sound, music, storytelling, flow, variety, there are so many things going for it. But ultimately, what makes Superstar shine brightest is how far it pushed this simple idea that was introduced in Kirby's Adventure. This is easily one of, if not the, most ambitious Kirby games ever made, never settling. If Kirby's Adventure technically made abilities work on the NES, and Kirby's Dream Land 2 technically introduced new ideas and fit them on the Game Boy, then Superstar technically and literally perfected the formula. This is a masterpiece of the game, and all of those reasons, probably more, are why Kirby Superstar is the best game in the series. Alright, before anything, this is the last time in this video that I'll be talking about Superstar Ultra, except when I get to the part about my Discord, whatever. And that's just to say, no, the remake existing does not make Kirby Superstar the worst. Just because the remake is better doesn't necessarily make this worse than the other games. I'm here to tell you why these games are the best and the worst, not the best and the second best, with only the remake being better. Now then, when you hear about Superstar, its innovations are often brought to the forefront when talking about why it's so good. I'll give it to you straight. Superstar innovated Smash Bros, not Kirby. If this game is such a big deal, then why did it take 15 years to get another game like it? Why did the multiple game modes idea never come back even once? Why are helpers literally only a thing in this game? Even their implementation in Star Allies is completely different, far more streamlined, and 4-player, which is automatically better compared to here. And most importantly, why are all of these innovations not even that good? Abilities getting bigger movesets is cool, but the physics of the game do not go in tandem with these kinds of abilities. With or without them, the game doesn't feel quite right, but no other game in this series feels this off with the abilities in mind. It's hard to put game feel into words, but things like Kirby's jump arcs, how ability attacks work with Kirby's momentum, and the simple act of moving and jumping with abilities or without it just all feels wrong. Call them laggy, too simple despite all their buttons, whatever, but aside from holding up making you float, the previous games still at least felt right. Superstar can't even fully handle walking. How do you think it's gonna handle running or jumping or attacking? Ugh, it's a nightmare. I guess you can actually handle the controls after a time, but these multiple game modes, when you think you're getting used to them, poof, they're done, finished, finite. Why even have these? If this was just one singular game, then ideas could actually be fully fleshed out. Make the whole thing Great Cave, or Dynablade, or Milky Way Wishes. You'd have to make them longer considering there's less playtime in most of these than even some of the sub-games in a game like Mass Attack. But, I mean, that goes without saying. Even if this was one unified, meaningful, and just personally longer experience, it still wouldn't amount to too much because everything here is just so basic. If you look at what Return to Dreamland introduced, and then the later games expanded on, there is actual meat and potatoes there. Superstar is nothing but action. And look, action games can be some of the most fun, blood-pumping games out there. And even looking at older games of its kind, they can still be really heckin' good, even if they are super basic. They can provide engagement through other means, like story, challenge, game feel, that stuff. Kirby Super Star is just way too basic, way too easy, and most importantly, way too mindless to be any of those things. It's the most dumbed down kind of action game. Yes, you can go for the secret chests in Great Cave, unlock the ability rooms in Dynablade, find all of the abilities in Milky Way Wishes. Whatever, all that really changes is that you find some extra doors. Innovation is an important thing for games to have, but more important than that is the actual quality of the final product. Adventure is not a perfect game, but the simplistic nature of the levels, the control scheme, the game itself really, in tandem with the presentation, and even the story in kind of a way, makes it almost ethereal. What does Superstar do to help its case? These visuals? Some of the worst in this series, with easily the most dated looking backgrounds and really weird looking sprites? The music, loaded with tracks that have been remixed so much, you're either tired of hearing them or you've heard a better version in a different game? Yeah, sure. Overall, the game shows genuine promise, but that doesn't stop it from being the worst game in the series. You know what time it is now. This is the time when I talk about what my Discord thought of Kirby Superstar when I asked them what they thought about Kirby Superstar. No surprise, a lot of people were comparing it to Superstar Ultra, and at least as far as my Discord went, nobody really prefers the original to Superstar Ultra. That didn't necessarily mean that anybody thought it was bad. A lot of people really appreciate the innovation that it has, and that's all I can really think to say about it. Ultra's better, the original Superstar is still good, which is nice and everything, but this doesn't give me a lot to say for this bet. In my own humble opinion, Kirby Superstar is one of the pinnacles of the Super Nintendo, not to mention the entire Kirby franchise. Compared to earlier games, it took so many steps in the right direction, shifting the focus from a simple platformer to a fast-paced, action-packed platformer that still retains the simplicity from the older games. Every mode, from Spring Breeze to the arena, is an absolute joyride. Most of all, this is the first time that the copy abilities feel expressive. How you use abilities, what your favorites and least favorites are, says things about who you are. There's so much freedom with what you can do here. It's not perfect, especially in regards to the physics. I like how Kirby feels in this game, but I don't love it. Gourmet Race especially controls real poorly, and I can totally understand why the physics by themselves have their detractors. The increase of action also makes for a simpler game in terms of difficulty. Kirby's more overpowered than ever, resulting in a game that's far easier to autopilot your way through. I think it's more fun that way, which inherently makes me want to play it better. It isn't everybody's cup of tea, especially with Superstar Ultra being much cleaner, but there's a reason that this game was near unanimously considered the best in the series for over a decade, until the game was remade. I think that Kirby Superstar is one of the best.